Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I've got something a little bit different for you today. I thought I'd share my thoughts on what I would like to see implemented in Sniper Elite 5. So sit back and enjoy as I share my top 10 things I would like to see in Sniper Elite 5 and 2 things that I wouldn't. Okay, so first up, this is a bit of an odd request, I know, but I would like an option to remove the scope and use the iron sights instead. Ever since learning about the Finnish sniper Simo, and yes, I know I've just butchered his name, but ever since learning of Simo, I've quite fancied trying my hand at sniping without a scope. For those of you that haven't heard of Simo, he was a sniper during World War II who got over 500 kills using only his iron sights. And I just think it would be quite fun to get my Simo on, basically, and try and snipe the way he did. If you'd like to learn more about Simo, I'll put a link on the screen now, and in the description below to a little video I made about him, and why he's the greatest sniper to have ever lived. Next up, longer shots. So far, there are only 2 opportunities that I'm aware of in the whole series that let us get a shot of over 1 kilometre. The first is in Tempelhof Airport on Sniper Elite 1, and the second is the final shot of the game in Sniper Elite 4. I feel as though we should have more opportunities for these epic long shots, and it's such a cheap and easy thing to implement. I would quite like the chance to blast off a set of Nazi testicles from a kilometre away. And whilst we're at it, give us more full-length kill cams. You know, like the final shot of the game on Sniper Elite V2 when trying to stop Wolf from escaping. It looks amazing and it feels badass. We want more. Next up, I would like to see the return of split-screen co-op. The first time I ever played Sniper Elite 1 on the PS2 was in split-screen mode. And co-op games for me have always been about actually being in the same room as a friend. I mean, playing online co-op is fine, but it's just not the same as actually being on the sofa with your mate, stuffing your face with pizza, and actually playing the game together. I don't know, maybe I'm just nostalgic for the old days before internet gaming really took off and became the norm, but I would just love to see split screen mode return. But I mustn't complain too much, as Rebellion has ensured at least that every level on every Sniper Elite game has always been playable in co-op, even if it is online only, with the exception of the original Sniper Elite on PC. Only the consoles got co-op mode on the original Sniper Elite. But as long as they keep supporting co-op one way or another, that's fine. But the return of split screen, I think, would be great. Not enough games include split screen modes anymore, and I think that's a bit of a shame. Next up, pointless enemies. What is this, you ask? Why do you want pointless enemies, you say? Well, you may remember in Sniper Elite V2, Mission 3, Mittelwerk Facility. After blowing the place up and making your way back out of the facility, there was an enemy sitting on a chair, too far away to attack you, hence the pointless enemy. But he is there purely so you can get a cool long shot, and that's all he's there for. Now what I want in Sniper Elite 5 is more pointless enemies. Much more. Enemies who are just dotted about the map in the background that are just there for us to try to find and kill. Maybe here, here, and here, for us to try and find and get cool long shots. Now, there are other locations where there are pointless enemies, but I want more. I want a decent amount per mission. I've spent so much time on my binoculars scanning the background outside of the playing area, hoping to find a cheeky little soldier that the devs have hid out there, kind of like a little Easter egg for us to find. And there are so many places they could hide soldiers. Another example of what I'm talking about is the pointless enemy on Lorino Dockyard just standing around in the distance doing nothing, just waiting to be shot. This is what I want more of. Sniper Elite 3 got it the closest with the sniper nests that would often have shots against pointless enemies out in the distance that can't attack you. In Sniper Elite 5, I want them to take these pointless enemies from fire in the background, but put a decent amount in each level for us to find for ourselves. Don't hold our hand and say, if you stand in this sniper nest, you will see some fun to kill, like in Sniper Elite 3. Just let us grab our binoculars and search for these pointless enemies ourselves. So yes, more pointless enemies, please, Rebellion. Okay, dog tags. For those of you that haven't played the original Sniper Elite, it was possible to find dog tags while searching certain dead enemies. I'm pretty sure all they did was improve your score, but what I would like to see in Sniper Elite 5 is the return of the dog tags, but as a collectible / unlockable. What I would like is every single enemy in the game has a dog tag, which you can collect if you search their corpse. Each enemy will only ever give you one dog tag, so you can't keep farming dog tags from the same enemies. Instead, you would have to actually kill every single enemy in the game to get every single dog tag. Then what you do is go into the collectibles menu where you can spend your dog tags to open crates, similar to the crypt in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, to unlock real bios, photos and stories of soldiers that fought on all sides of the war. I really think unlocking real info and stories on the war would be a great addition to this game. But there would have to be strictly no microtransactions. None of this buy 10 dog tags for $9.99, $99.99. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of my dog tag idea. I really think it'd be cool to be able to, unlock real photos of soldiers and their biographies and stories. And there's millions of stories to tell from World War II. I just think you can have such a great collection of cool stuff to unlock. Next, a harder difficulty. So I know the Rebellion added a new difficulty for Sniper Elite 4 post-launch with Authentic Plus, but I would now like them to take it one step further. Maybe call it realistic or something, I don't know. But the question is, how to make it harder? I have a few ideas. One, they could make it so all secondary objectives now become mandatory and must be completed before the end of the mission. They could also make it like in Sniper Elite 1, where if you aren't careful you can set off your own traps if you step on them. Or also like in Sniper Elite 1, they can make enemy snipers that can one-hit kill you, making them super deadly. Another idea I had to make it more difficult, maybe even too difficult to be fair, but removing the wind gauge. Now, this would only work if they made the trees, bushes, flags, etc. blow in the wind in the correct direction, and to give us some kind of visual indication as to how hard the wind is blowing. This would maybe be pretty tricky to implement, I don't know, but these are just a few ideas, I'm sure Rebellion could come up with a harder difficulty if they wanted, and I hope they do. Next up, well, I'm just going to say it. Dogs. I want dogs. Dogs were used in great numbers for many different roles during World War II, including patrols, guarding, even sniffing out mines. Yet they have eluded Sniper Elite thus far. I think dogs would be a great addition to the game. If you start attacking soldiers, they dive behind cover, but dogs, they would give chase. Fast, small, hard to hit and deadly. Not only would they be hard to deal with if your playstyle was to go in guns blazing, but they would also be a major spanner in the works if you're more of a stealthy player. You may be able to fool that patrol just feet away by hiding in a bush, but you would not be so successful if they have a dog with them. Get too close to a dog and he will sniff you out in no time, attacking and alerting the enemy. I honestly think dogs, if they're going to introduce new enemies, the dog has got to be top of their list. I honestly think dogs would have such a huge impact on the game, and I truly hope that they are added in Sniper Elite 5. For this next one, it's just going to be a quick one. Bigger levels. Now personally, I feel the Sniper Elite 3 level design was a huge improvement over Sniper Elite V2, removing that linear feeling and really opening the level up. And I also feel that Sniper Elite 4's level design was a huge improvement over Sniper Elite 3 by taking that more open map design and ramping it up. In Sniper Elite 5, I want to see even bigger maps with more routes to take and nooks and crannies to explore. I really feel as though the level design in Sniper Elite 4 is amazing. I really hope they can take it even further in Sniper Elite 5. Next up, a jungle setting. So V2 brought us the ruined streets of Berlin. Sniper Elite 3 brought us the scorching battlegrounds of North Africa, and Sniper Elite 4 gave us the picturesque Italian landscapes. I think now it's time for some jungle warfare. I know many people want the frozen wastes of the Eastern Front. Others want Carl to make his way into France. But personally, I want Carl to hop on a plane to the other side of the world into the jungles of the South Pacific and Burma, where my granddad fought during the war. Or even, if Rebellion wanted to leave the World War II theatre behind, which I doubt they do, I would be just as happy in the jungles of Vietnam. I think just having a Sniper Elite game based around a jungle theme would be a fun direction to go next. Finally, the thing I want to see the most in Sniper Elite 5 is a more compelling story and less generic characters. I think we can all agree that the basic mission outline in Sniper Elite is fine. It's basically to stop the super weapon from being used by the enemy. Simple. But I want more substance to the story. Inject some love, hate, death, betrayal, revenge. You know, give us a gripping story with characters we care about. I'll be honest, in Sniper Elite 5 I honestly didn't care whether Sophia's dad survived or not. I didn't care about Giancarlo and the rest of the resistance fighters. And not only that, I feel Carl himself is just too generic, and I really want Rebellion to inject some real character into him. There's more character in the first couple of pages of the Sniper Elite comic than in all 4 games of the Sniper Elite series. In the comic, first you see him in a pub drinking alone, but raising a glass to a friend on his birthday, hoping he's still alive. Then a woman comes up to him to inform him that the SOE headquarters needs to see him right away. But in no rush, he offers her a drink first, giving the impression he's a bit of a ladies' man, like maybe James Bond. To me, the weakest part of Sniper Elite is the story and the generic protagonist. And in Sniper Elite 5, I really hope they put some extra effort into making the story interesting and exciting, and giving Carl some real personality. Okay, now for the controversial part. 2 things I do not want to see in Sniper Elite 5. Now there's a lot of people on the internet I've seen who do want these things, but I really am not one of them. Okay, so the first thing I do not want to see in Sniper Elite 5 is a move to an open world game. Now, this is difficult to explain. In fact, I don't know if I can even explain it. I just seem to have a love-hate relationship with open world games. I can't quite put my finger on it, but maybe it's because more often than not I find myself just getting bored with them, to be honest. But I really do enjoy the separate sandbox style missions in Sniper Elite 4, and I'd really like them to improve upon that instead of bidding it for an open world experience. Open world games are not cheap to make, and instead of Rebellion pouring extra money into making an open world game, I would much prefer they pour that money into hiring some more writers to improve the story and the characters. And the second thing I do not want to see in Sniper Elite 5 is a modern setting. I know there are people that want a modern setting, maybe dealing in the Middle East or something, and that's fine if that's what you like, but honestly I'm just not into it. I'd much prefer they stick to World War II. I love World War II games. It's such a fascinating period of time, and there are many more locations to visit and stories to tell. But I'd be happy enough if they decided to give World War I a try, or even bring it forward a bit to Vietnam. But anything outside of that World War I Vietnam timeline wouldn't interest me that much. Don't get me wrong, if they released an open world modern Sniper Elite game, I'd still play it and maybe it would be amazing. But personally, I hope they do not go down that route. So that's it. Thanks for watching my 10 things I want to see in Sniper Elite 5 and 2 things I don't. Let me know in the comments below what you agree or disagree with. Also let me know in the comments below what are the main things you want to see in Sniper Elite 5. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. I will of course be covering Sniper Elite 5 when it releases. I will also be covering Sniper Elite VR on the channel as well when it arrives. So hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date on all things Sniper Elite. And I will see you guys in the next video.
Red Fox out.